Japan is a small country, but Japan has a very big and very old history. Japan is in Asia. Japan is near China and Korea. Japan is an island country. Japan has 4 main islands. The biggest island is called Honshu. The other islands are called Hokkaido, Kyushu, and Shikoku. Japan also has thousands of smaller islands, but most people live on the 4 big islands. Today, we will learn the full history of Japan. We will learn it from the very beginning. We will learn it in simple English. This video is long. It has many parts. So get comfortable, get a drink of water, and let's begin our journey through time.
A long, long time ago, there were no cities in Japan. There were no farms. There were only forests, mountains, and rivers. The first people came to Japan many thousands of years ago. Scientists believe people lived in Japan over 10,000 years ago. These people were hunters. They hunted animals like deer and wild boar. They also fished in the sea and in rivers. They collected nuts and plants from the forest. This early time is called the Jomon period. The word Jomon means cord-marked. This name comes from the pottery these people made. The Jomon people made pottery. Pottery is something made from clay. The clay is shaped and then it is baked until it becomes hard. Jomon pottery had special patterns on it. The patterns looked like ropes or cords pressed into the clay. The Jomon people lived this way for a very, very long time. They lived in small huts. The huts were partly underground to stay warm in winter. Thousands and thousands of years passed in this way. Then, around 300 BCE, something new happened. New people came to Japan. Many historians believe these people came from Korea or mainland China. They brought a new skill with them: rice farming. This new time is called the Yayoi period. Rice farming changed everything in Japan. Before, people had to move around to find food. Now, with rice farming, people could grow food in one place. This meant people could stay in one location for a long time. Because of farming, people started to live in bigger groups. These groups became villages. The villages needed organization. They needed someone to manage the rice fields and protect the food. So leaders became important. Villages slowly became more organized. Some villages grew bigger and stronger than others. As villages grew bigger, leaders became more powerful. Some leaders were strong and smart. Some leaders were weak. Strong leaders took control of nearby villages. One strong village could conquer several weaker villages. This process created small kingdoms across Japan. These small kingdoms often fought each other. They fought over land. They fought over rice fields. They fought over power. Groups of powerful families were called clans. A clan is like a very big family, often with a shared leader and shared land. Clans had soldiers. Clans had farmers. Clans had their own customs. One clan became more powerful than all the others. This clan was called the Yamato clan. The Yamato clan lived in an area we now call Nara in central Japan. Slowly, over many years, the Yamato clan took control of much of central and western Japan. The Yamato clan defeated other clans. The Yamato clan made alliances with other clans. The leaders of the Yamato clan eventually became the first emperors of Japan. This was the beginning of Japan's imperial family, a family line that, remarkably, continues even today.
The Japanese people believed something very special about their emperor. They believed the emperor's family came directly from the gods. According to old Japanese myths, there was a powerful sun goddess. Her name was Amaterasu. The myths say that Amaterasu sent her grandson down from heaven to rule the land of Japan. This grandson, according to legend, became the very first emperor. His name, in legend, was Emperor Jimmu. Because of this belief, the emperor was not just a normal king. People did not just see him as a powerful ruler. They saw him as someone connected directly to the gods, almost sacred. This belief made the emperor's position very powerful and very respected. It also made Japanese culture, religion, and government deeply connected to each other from the very beginning. Even today, Japan still has an emperor. The current emperor is part of the very same family line that historians trace back over 1,000 years. Many people say this is one of the oldest continuous royal families in the entire world. But today, things are very different from ancient times. Today, the emperor does not rule the country directly. Japan is now a democracy. The emperor is now mainly a symbol of Japan, representing unity and tradition, not political power. In the 6th century, around the year 538, something very important happened. A new religion arrived in Japan. This religion was Buddhism. Buddhism originally came from India, but it traveled to Japan through China and Korea. A kingdom in Korea sent gifts and Buddhist teachings to the Japanese imperial court. At first, not everyone in Japan accepted this new religion. Some powerful families wanted to keep the old beliefs. Other families wanted to accept the new religion. There was even conflict between these two groups. The old traditional Japanese religion was called Shinto. The word Shinto means the way of the gods. Shinto focuses on nature spirits, called kami. Shinto also focuses on respecting ancestors. Eventually, Buddhism became widely accepted in Japan. But something interesting happened. Instead of replacing Shinto, Buddhism existed alongside it. Many Japanese people followed both Shinto and Buddhism together, and many still do today. Buddhism brought many new things to Japan. It brought new art styles. It brought new ways of writing, since Buddhist texts were written in Chinese characters. It brought new architecture, especially for building temples. Many large and beautiful Buddhist temples were built during this period. Some of the oldest wooden buildings in the entire world are these early Japanese temples, and some still exist today.
In the year 710, Japan built its very first permanent capital city. This city was called Nara. Before this time, the capital often moved when an emperor died because of religious beliefs about purity. But Nara was meant to be different. Nara was meant to be permanent. Nara was designed and built based on the Chinese style of capital cities. It had wide, straight streets arranged in a grid pattern. It had grand government buildings. It had many beautiful temples. This time in history is called the Nara period.
During the Nara period, Japan learned an enormous amount from China. Japan adopted the Chinese writing system, using Chinese characters to write the Japanese language. Japan copied parts of the Chinese government system, creating official ranks and a central bureaucracy. Japan also adopted Chinese-style art, clothing, and even city planning. A massive bronze statue of Buddha was built in Nara during this time. This statue is called the Great Buddha of Nara. It is housed inside a giant wooden temple called Todaiji. Even today, visitors travel to Nara just to see this enormous statue.
In the year 794, the capital of Japan moved once again. The new capital was called Heian-kyo, which means capital of peace and tranquility. Today, we know this city as Kyoto. This new era is called the Heian Period. The Heian Period lasted for about 400 years, making it one of the longest periods of relative peace in Japanese history. During the Heian Period, Japanese culture developed in a very unique and refined way. The imperial court, made up of nobles and aristocrats, loved poetry, art, music, and fashion. Court nobles wrote long, complex poems. They held elegant ceremonies. Fashion became very elaborate, especially for noble women who wore many layers of beautiful silk robes. One of the most famous achievements of this period was a book. The book is called The Tale of Genji. It tells the story of a fictional prince and his romantic relationships at the imperial court. A noblewoman named Murasaki Shikubi wrote this book. Many historians and literature experts consider The Tale of Genji to be one of the very first novels ever written in the entire world. While the court enjoyed this elegant lifestyle in the capital, something else was happening far away in the countryside. This brings us to a major turning point in Japanese history. During the later Heian period, powerful landowning families lived far from the capital, out in the countryside. These families needed protection for their land and their rice fields. These families began hiring skilled warriors. These warriors protected the land from bandits and rival families. Over many years, these warriors developed incredible skill in combat and horsemanship. These warriors became known as samurai. The word samurai comes from a word meaning one who serves. Samurai eventually developed a strict moral code to live by. This code was called Bushido, which means the way of the warrior. Bushido taught samurai several important values. It taught them to be brave in battle. It taught them to be completely loyal to their lord. It taught them to value honor and duty even more than their own life. Samurai used very special, carefully crafted swords. These swords were called katana. A katana was extremely sharp. A katana was incredibly strong and durable. Making a single katana could take a skilled swordsmith many weeks of careful work. As the years passed, these samurai warriors and their leaders became more and more powerful. They were no longer simply hired protectors. They slowly became the true power behind the throne of Japan. In the late 1100s, a massive war broke out in Japan. This war was fought between two extremely powerful samurai clans. One clan was called the Taira clan. The other clan was called the Minamoto clan. This conflict is known as the Genpei War. It was a brutal war,
fought across many years with famous battles on land and at sea. In 1185, the Minamoto clan finally won this long war. Their leader, a skilled and ambitious man, was named Minamoto no Yoritomo. In the year 992, Yoritomo was given a powerful new title by the emperor. He became Japan's very first shogun. A shogun is a supreme military commander. The shogun controlled the samurai armies. The shogun controlled the actual government of the country. This was an enormous change in how Japan was ruled. The emperor still technically existed in Kyoto, but the emperor now had very little real political power. The shogun, based in a city called Kamakura, was now the true ruler of Japan. This new system of government, with a shogun in real control, would continue in various forms for almost 700 years. This first shogunate government is called the Kamakura shogunate. In the late 1200s, Japan faced one of the greatest dangers in its entire history. An enormous, powerful empire wanted to conquer Japan. This was the Mongol Empire. The Mongol Empire at this time was ruled by a powerful leader named Kublai Khan. Kublai Khan had already successfully conquered China and built the Yuan dynasty there. Now he set his sights on Japan. In the year 1274, the Mongols launched their first invasion of Japan. They arrived with a huge fleet of warships carrying tens of thousands of soldiers. They landed on the shores of Kyushu, Japan's southern island. The Japanese samurai fought bravely against this powerful invading force. However, the Mongol army used unfamiliar tactics and powerful weapons that the samurai had never seen before, including exploding bombs. But then, suddenly, a massive storm appeared from the sea. This storm was incredibly violent. It destroyed a huge number of the Mongol ships. The surviving Mongol forces had no choice but to retreat back across the sea. 7 years later, in 1281, the Mongols tried again. This time, they assembled an even larger invasion force, possibly the largest naval invasion force in the world at that time. Once again, the samurai fought with tremendous courage. And once again, as the battle continued, a massive typhoon struck the coast. This second storm was even more devastating. It completely destroyed the majority of the enormous Mongol fleet. The Japanese people believed these miraculous storms were sent by the gods to protect their sacred land. They named these storms kamikaze. The word kamikaze means divine wind. Thanks to these storms and the bravery of the samurai, Japan was saved from foreign conquest. Japan remained one of the few major nations in Asia that the Mongol Empire was never able to successfully conquer.
As the years passed, Japan's central shogun government gradually became weaker. Local lords scattered across the country became increasingly powerful and independent. These powerful regional lords were called daimyo. Each daimyo controlled his own territory of land. Each daimyo commanded his own private army of samurai. Eventually, these daimyo lords began fighting each other constantly, competing for land, resources, and ultimate power over Japan. This long, chaotic era is known as the Sengoku period, which translates to the Warring States period.
This brutal period of near-constant civil war lasted well over 100 years. During this turbulent and violent time, three exceptional and ambitious leaders rose to prominence, one after another. Their names were Oda Nobunaga, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, and Tokugawa Ieyasu. Oda Nobunaga was a brilliant, innovative, and often ruthless military leader. He began the difficult process of unifying fractured Japan by sheer military force. He cleverly adopted new weapons technology, including firearms recently brought to Japan by Portuguese traders. Tragically, Nobunaga was betrayed and killed by one of his own generals before he could complete his goal of unification. After Nobunaga's death, his loyal and talented general, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, took up his cause. Hideyoshi continued the campaign with remarkable skill, and he ultimately succeeded in uniting almost the entire country of Japan under a single unified rule. After Hideyoshi eventually died, a powerful ally and rival named Tokugawa Ieyasu made his own move for ultimate control. In the year 1600, Tokugawa Ieyasu won a massive, decisive battle. This conflict is known as the Battle of Sekihara. This single battle would determine the entire future course of Japan for the next 2.5 centuries.
In the year 1603, following his decisive victory, Tokugawa Ieyasu was officially declared shogun. He established an entirely new ruling shogun dynasty. This powerful new family was called the Tokugawa family. The Tokugawa shogunate moved the true center of political power to a growing city called Edo. Today, this same city is known to the entire world as Tokyo. This new historical era is called the Edo Period. Remarkably, the Edo Period lasted for approximately 260 years. During the Edo Period, Japan finally experienced sustained, lasting peace. After so many centuries filled with civil wars and conflict, this represented an enormous and welcome change for the Japanese people. However, the cautious Tokugawa government also made a very significant and controversial decision. They largely closed Japan's borders to the rest of the world. Foreign traders, missionaries, and visitors could no longer enter Japan freely. Japanese citizens were also forbidden from leaving the country. This strict isolationist policy was called sakoku, which literally translates to closed country. During this long, isolated period, Japanese culture flourished and developed in its own distinctly unique direction, largely free from outside influence. Traditional arts like kabuki theater and woodblock printing developed beautifully. Cities like Edo grew into massive, bustling urban centers. Internal trade and commerce within Japan increased significantly. However, this isolation also had a serious downside. While Japan focused inward, the rest of the world, particularly Western nations, was rapidly advancing in science, industry, and military technology. Japan was steadily falling behind the rest of the world in these critical areas. For well over 200 years, Japan remained mostly closed off from foreign nations. Then, in the year 1853, everything suddenly and dramatically changed. 4 large, intimidating ships arrived unexpectedly near the coast of Japan. These powerful ships belonged to the United States Navy. The fleet was commanded by an American naval officer named Commodore Matthew Perry. The local Japanese population called these vessels black ships
due to their dark hulls and the thick black smoke pouring from their steam engines. The Japanese people had genuinely never witnessed these ships before in their entire lives. Commodore Perry carried an official message and a clear demand. The American government insisted that Japan open its ports to international trade and diplomacy. This crisis forced the Japanese government to realize something critically important. Japan urgently needed to modernize and change quickly. Otherwise, there was a real danger that other powerful nations might attempt to seize control of Japan, exactly as Western powers were already doing throughout much of Asia at that time.
In the year 1868, an absolutely massive transformation occurred within Japan. Political power officially shifted away from the shogun and was restored directly back to the emperor. This pivotal historical event is known as the Meiji Restoration. The young Emperor Meiji became the powerful new symbol representing a completely modernized and reformed Japan. The traditional samurai social class, along with the entire centuries-old shogun governmental system, was gradually but firmly dismantled. Japan's new leaders began enthusiastically adopting numerous ideas and technologies from Western nations. Japan rapidly constructed modern industrial factories. Japan built an extensive network of railways connecting its cities. Japan developed a thoroughly modern, professional army and navy, complete with up-to-date weaponry. Japan also established a brand new system of public schools, modeled closely after successful Western education systems. In the span of just a few short decades, Japan underwent a truly remarkable and complete transformation. A nation that had recently kept its doors firmly closed to the outside world rapidly became one of the most advanced and modern nations throughout all of Asia. This astonishingly rapid pace of modernization genuinely surprised observers all around the world. Virtually no one had expected Japan to modernize so completely and so quickly. By the early years of the 1900s, Japan had successfully transformed itself into a genuinely strong military and industrial power, commanding real respect on the world stage. In the year 1894, Japan engaged in a significant war against China. This conflict is known as the First Sino-Japanese War. Japan emerged victorious, which genuinely surprised many observers throughout the international community. In the year 1904, Japan entered into conflict with a major European power, Russia. This conflict is known as the Russo-Japanese War. Once again, against all expectations, Japan emerged victorious. This particular victory was truly historic and significant. For the very first time in the modern era, an Asian nation had decisively defeated a major European power in a large-scale modern military conflict. Following these victories, Japan expanded its influence considerably, taking control of Korea and acquiring territories in parts of China. Japan was actively building its own colonial empire, closely mirroring the actions of major European powers at the time. By the 1930s, however, Japan's military leadership had become extremely powerful, aggressive, and increasingly difficult to control. Japan launched a full invasion of additional Chinese territories. Diplomatic tensions steadily increased with other major world powers, particularly with the United States. In the year 1941, Japan launched a surprise military attack against an American naval base located at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. This dramatic event brought the United States directly into World War II. The subsequent war fought between Japan and the Allied nations proved to be exceptionally long, brutal, and devastating. Enormous numbers of soldiers and innocent civilians tragically lost their lives on all sides of this terrible conflict. By the year 1945, Japan's military situation had become increasingly desperate. The overall course of the war was clearly no longer favoring Japan. In August of 1945, an absolutely terrible and unprecedented event occurred. The United States dropped powerful atomic bombs on two separate Japanese cities. The first bomb fell upon the city of Hiroshima. A second bomb subsequently fell upon the city of Nagasaki. These devastating bombs caused catastrophic, almost unimaginable destruction. Hundreds of thousands of innocent people tragically lost their lives both immediately and in the difficult months and years that followed. Shortly afterward, on August 15, 1945, Japan officially announced its surrender. This brought the long and devastating Second World War to its final conclusion. This period undeniably represents one of the absolute darkest and most tragic chapters within Japan's long and complex history. In the immediate aftermath of the war, Japan found itself almost completely in ruins. Major cities had been extensively destroyed. The national economy had essentially collapsed. Countless people had tragically lost their homes, their livelihoods, and their families. Following the war, the United States military occupied Japan for several years. During this important transitional period, Japan adopted an entirely new national constitution. This new constitution placed strong emphasis on maintaining peace and establishing a genuine democratic system of government. Japan also dedicated itself completely and wholeheartedly to the difficult task of rebuilding the nation from the ground up. The Japanese people worked with extraordinary determination and discipline during these challenging years. Gradually, step by step, Japan's economy began to show genuine signs of recovery and growth. Innovative Japanese companies began manufacturing automobiles, sophisticated electronics, and precision machinery for both domestic use and export. By the 1960s and into the 1970s, Japan had successfully transformed itself into one of the absolute strongest and most dynamic economies anywhere in the entire world. This period of extraordinarily rapid economic growth is often referred to as the Japanese economic miracle. Today, in the present day, Japan is widely recognized and admired around the entire world for numerous remarkable achievements. Japan is famous worldwide for its cutting-edge technology. Globally recognized companies such as Sony, Toyota, Honda, and Nintendo originated in Japan and remain household names everywhere. Japan is also famous for its incredibly fast and remarkably punctual bullet trains, known as the Shinkansen. These trains travel at extraordinary speeds with legendary precision and reliability. Japan is celebrated worldwide for its distinctive cuisine, especially beloved dishes like sushi, ramen, and tempura, which are now enjoyed by people in countless countries.
Japan is additionally famous worldwide for its anime and manga, creative art forms that have captured the hearts and imaginations of enthusiastic fans all across the world. Japan is also widely admired for the way it skillfully blends ancient traditions seamlessly with thoroughly modern life. Visitors can witness centuries-old temples and shrines standing peacefully right alongside towering, ultra-modern skyscrapers. Tokyo, the bustling capital city, ranks among the largest, most populous, and busiest metropolitan areas anywhere in the entire world. Despite experiencing so many dramatic transformations across thousands of years of history, Japan has remarkably succeeded in preserving much of its unique cultural identity and spirit. Let us take a moment to reflect on Japan's truly incredible and remarkable historical journey. Japan began as small, scattered farming villages many thousands of years in the past. It gradually grew into a sophisticated land ruled by emperors who claimed divine origins from the gods. It became a formidable land dominated by powerful, honor-bound samurai warriors and ambitious shoguns. It miraculously survived devastating foreign invasions. It deliberately closed its doors to the entire outside world for centuries, and then dramatically reopened them once again. It transformed itself with astonishing speed into a thoroughly modern global power. It tragically survived the unprecedented horror and destruction of World War, and finally, against tremendous odds, it successfully rebuilt itself into one of the most advanced, innovative, and respected nations found anywhere on planet Earth today. Japan's extraordinary history teaches us something genuinely powerful and important. A nation can undergo truly enormous changes over the passage of time, yet remarkably, that same nation can also successfully protect and preserve its core identity, its cherished traditions, and its unique cultural spirit, even through the most difficult and transformative periods imaginable. Thank you very much for watching this entire video all the way to the end. I sincerely hope you learned many new and useful English words today. I also hope you discovered many fascinating and interesting facts about Japan's incredibly rich history. If you genuinely enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to our channel for more content just like this. Please leave a comment below and let us know which country's history you would like us to explore and learn about next. Thank you again, and see you in our very next video.